Mistakes were made. So the first mistake is going to come from this book, Silver Surfer #1. About a year and a half ago, I saw someone post online that they were looking to sell this book, and they described it as being in about a 6.0 condition. But they were selling it for a lot less than a 6.0 goes for. So of course that made me really interested in it. And so I asked them to send me some pictures, and they sent me some super blurry pictures. And I don't think they were trying to scam me. I think it's someone who wasn't used to sending pictures. It was kind of the first book from their collection that they were getting ready to sell. And so I hemmed and hawed about whether or not to buy this book. But at the price that it was listed for, I felt that it was going to go really soon. Because as long as it comes back as at least a 3.0, then I turned out to be okay. And I'm pretty sure it's going to do that at least. And so when the book got here, he actually emailed me and asked, "Hey, are you happy with the book?" And I felt really bad because I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything, and said, "Hey, actually there are some defects that I don't think maybe you noticed. Like there's a couple of small tears along the back. It's faded." And so I said, I don't think it's a 6.0. And so he offered to allow me to return it, but I really don't want to return it because I still think it's going to be a good purchase anyway. And so he agreed that if this does come back less than a 6.0, then he'll make up the difference. And I'm hopeful that he'll be sincere. I ended up buying some other books from him. And I think he's a good guy. Again, just inexperienced. And that's one of the hard things when you're buying books from someone who's inexperienced, especially at grading. They might really think it's higher than it is, and then it's not so much. So if it is a 6.0, then I just owe this guy a big apology. He was right, and I was just being too critical. But again, as long as it's a 3.0, I'm fine, and especially if he refunds me the difference, which I think he will. So without further ado, let's see what we got. Oh, 5.5. All right, he didn't miss it too much. Wow. All right. Well, CGC did me a good one. You kind of never know what you're going to get with them. Now, I picked up one other book from that seller that was worthy of sending off to CGC, and it's this one, Tomb of Dracula #1, which, of course, contains the first appearance of Dracula in Marvel Comics. And because I thought that one was a little lower than he had said it was, I thought it was a 4.5 or 5.0. I'm so glad I got a 5.5. I guess CCS did a good job for once. I was a little more conservative with this one, and offered him to pay what I thought a 7.0 would be worth. And then, we could kind of work it out, and how these grades come back. So I am hopeful that this is better than a 7.0. I would love to see an 8.0. And I think it's got a pretty good chance to get there. So let's see, did I get at least an 8.0? 8.5, very nice. So, all right, well, I'm going to have to send this guy an apology. And we'll have to figure out the numbers, but I might actually have to send him a little bit of money. Well, this is a pleasant surprise. It's gotten off to a much better start than my last CGC submission. So this is mistake #2. So as many of you know, a couple of years ago, my father-in-law gave me a lot of comics, which included an Incredible Hulk #181. And so I sent some of the most valuable books of those off to CGC. And the Hulk 181 already came back. And the Daredevil 131 or 132, whatever, first appearance of Bullseye already came back. And they were a little lower than I was expecting because at the time I didn't know how much CGC hit foxing. And all of these books have some foxing on it. And so the Hulk 181 ended up being a 6.5. The Daredevil ended up being a 5.5, which wasn't bad for those books. But if this comes back in that range, which I'm guessing it will, then it probably would have been better just to keep it raw. And so this is Amazing Spider-Man #135, which contains the second full appearance of the Punisher. He's one of my favorite characters in comics, and so I wanted to have this book encapsulated. And when I sent it off, I was hoping it would be like an 8.0, but I just don't think, now that I know what foxing does, it's going to get there. It does have less foxing, I think, than some of the others. I mean, if it got a 7.0, I'd be really happy. But but 5.5 to 6.5 would be what the others came back as. 8.0! All right, man. Goodness gracious, I got a nice grader, I think. Too bad it wasn't the Hulk 181 with that 8.0. But speaking of the first appearance of Wolverine coming from that collection, we also have Hulk 180, which contains arguably the real first appearance of Wolverine, as he's on the last page. And this book was not in as good of a condition as any of the others that I sent in, because it has a little crease down here. And so I'm expecting this book to be more in that 5.5 range. If it gets better than that, I'll be super happy. Either way, obviously this is an awesome book to have. 7.5! Holy cow! My goodness, did I get the right grader today? Oh my goodness! Wow! My last submission was so disappointing, and now this one is so great. Man! Well, let's see if we can keep the good times rolling. Here we have Avengers number 47, which contains the first appearance of Dane Whitman, who goes on to become the Black Knight in the very next issue. And this book looks really nice, but there is a chimp missing here, and a little staining and foxing. So, man, I don't know what to expect after these other ones. But if it's at least a 5.5, it's fine. I think it could get higher than that. Let's see what we got. 6.5. Very nice. All right. So I am happy about that. And next we have Tales to Astonish number 63, which contains the first full appearance of the leader. And I got this book at a great price, but it's another one where it's not in as good condition as I thought when I sent it. I know more about what CGC is looking for. So there's some pin marks on the back, some foxing, some tanning. I mean, it's still certainly mid-grade. If it got, and that pin mark, I don't know how much they're going to come in for that pin mark, but I'd be happy with a 6, but I'm not counting on that. 6.5. All right. All right. My generous grader continues the streak, and finally, we've got Incredible Hulk number 141, which contains the first appearance of Doc Samson. And this is a pretty nice book. I don't think that's a little bit of, there's a water stain there. I think I might have missed that when I sent it in, but I got a great deal on this one also. And so, I still think, especially after these, that it's at least a 6, and that'll be fine. I'd love to see a 7 or better. 8.0. Very nice. All right. Fantastic submission. Puts a smile on my face after once again having a little bit of a frown from the last submission. So as I'm getting more and more books back from CGC, I'm just seeing, some submissions are just going to be better than others. And in the long haul, hopefully they just kind of balance each other out. And I think they do. If you submit enough books, it's kind of like flipping a coin. If you flip a coin 10 times, maybe you get 10 heads. But if you keep flipping it, it's going to be about 50-50. And so that's kind of how I'm feeling about submissions to CGC are going. 50%, a little bit lower than I expected, 50% like this one, a little bit higher, and then some right where I expected. So anyway, super happy with this submission. Of course, if you like this video and you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate if you would subscribe. Just like the video in general, comment, tell me what you thought about the submission. Thanks for watching, and as always, I look forward to the next one.